Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Rentschler. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have been live in studio all afternoon and all evening tracking this winter storm as it moves through our area. Let's bring in meteorologist Amber Hardwick now with a quick check of what this storm is shaping up to be at this hour. Amber?
Elizabeth, after everything's said and done, we're seeing about 8 to about 13 inches of snow throughout the viewing area. Here, around 8 inches closer to Fowler, 9.2 inches in northern Tippecanoe County and around Lafayette, 10.8 inches further south in southern Tippecanoe County. But notice the heavier amounts are off to our southeastern counties. And we do have a blizzard warning still in effect, and that'll be until 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's for our northeastern counties, and a winter storm warning will eventually expire at 1 o'clock in the morning for the rest of the viewing area. The good news is the heavy snow is coming to an end, but we are left with much cooler temperatures. But first I want to show you just how much snow we're dealing with now. Just the heaviest amounts off to our northeast, closer to Rochester, Fulton, and through Mexico.
All right, Amber, we'll check in with you later. Thank you. Interstate 65 has been closed down for the night due to those conditions. The Indiana State Police, with assistance from the Indiana Department of Transportation, worked to close 65 northbound lanes about 2 hours ago. First Sergeant Brian Olahy says with the amount of snow, the drifting and dropping temperatures, it was a matter of safety. He says spots farther north in Jasper and Lake counties are really dangerous. He says this way crews can work to clear the interstate much faster.
That closure northbound will allow the Department of Transportation trucks to really attack with all of their available resources to try and clear that road and get it open as soon as possible.
Olahy says it's unknown at this time when the interstate will open back up. He says troopers have been busy all day assisting motorists with slide-offs and property damage crashes. He says only travel if it's an emergency. Well, the blowing and drifting is not only causing problems on the interstate, it's the same story out on the county roads as well. News 18's Brittany Tyner is live at Sagamore Parkway and Duncan Road with the latest. Brittany?
Yeah, Elizabeth, the wind has really picked up out here, and drifting and blowing has become a problem all throughout the viewing area, but especially on those county roads. Joining me now is Tippecanoe County Sheriff Tracy Brown, and you actually just told me anywhere outside of town is just horrendous. Go ahead and describe kind of what's going on out there.
We have, clearly we went to the full warning stage earlier this evening, and so no one should be out on the roadways. It's not safe. We're dealing with significant blowing and drifting in the outlying areas, especially the north-south numbered roads. The Heartland Corridor, for example, right now is very likely closed between here and the Delphi area. So again, conditions have gotten much worse as the wind has picked up and the temperatures have dropped off. So it's going to be a very difficult night for us. Our deputies are out in four-wheel drive vehicles getting through, basically bringing in stranded motorists to a shelter. And that's what we're dealing with now.
So obviously, stay off the roads tonight. They're just terrible. But I guess if you do have to be out and you do have to travel even for like a medical emergency, what should drivers have with them or be prepared for? And talk about that.
Well, until the warning is lifted, we don't want anybody on the roads now. If you have a true medical emergency, dial 911. We have snow plows on standby, deputies. We can get an ambulance to you when we're to the point where people can travel again. Have water with you, a cell phone, a warm blanket. We've pulled many people off the interstate tonight who were stranded, and if they had been there all night, they'd been in a lot of trouble.
And talk about the size of drifts. I mean, what kind of drifts? 3 to 4 feet we kind of heard at one point. Is that what you're looking at out on those county roads?
Absolutely. Talking to our emergency management director, Smokey Anderson, earlier, significant drifting on County Road 800 South out around Southwestern Middle School. Any place where the wind is not blocked by trees or buildings, we're going to be dealing with 2 to 3 foot drifts by morning.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us. There, you heard it. You heard it from the sheriff himself. Stay put. Do not come out here. Reporting live, Brittany Tyner, News 18.
All right, Brittany, thank you. Well, this evening, Tippecanoe County officials met to determine if the county would be bumped up to the highest form of a travel status, that being a travel warning. They agreed it was in fact necessary and have restricted all traffic except for emergency vehicles. News 18's Kelly Roberts joins us now with more on what it takes to limit traffic during a storm. Kelly?
Elizabeth, a travel warning is used as a worst case scenario, and county officials agree this storm is a worst case.
Don't call your local law enforcement agency to ask about road conditions. I can tell you they're bad.
Road conditions were so bad Sunday, the Tippecanoe County Sheriff's Office was flooded with calls to help with cars stuck in the snow and slide-offs. Tippecanoe County spent most of Sunday in a travel watch, which restricts traffic to only necessary trips.
This is not a time to go out for dinner or entertainment or something of that nature because it is very dangerous to travel.
Sheriff Tracy Brown says he, EMA Director Smokey Anderson, and the Tippecanoe County Commissioners meet to determine what kind of travel advisory to give the county. Anderson says this storm was unique and traffic needed to be restricted.
It is a very wet snow for now, and that's going to turn to ice after it gets packed down. I think you could ice skate on this parking lot on snow once it gets packed a little bit, so that'll be harder for the crews to remove.
Anderson says once the drifting snow comes into play, some snow will be unmovable. A travel warning restricts all traffic except for emergency vehicles. It's the highest level of a travel advisory. On Sunday night, county officials agreed a warning was necessary for the county. Anderson says a lot of consideration is taken into issuing a travel warning, but characteristics of this storm meet the criteria.
If it's windy and the snow is of a consistency that will drift, that is a huge issue for all the crews. So we weigh a lot of factors before we pull that trigger.
Anderson and Brown warn this storm does not end when the snow stops. Days of negative temperatures will keep the road dangers around into the week. Also under a travel warning are Benton, Fountain, White, Carroll, Clinton, Warren, Montgomery, Jasper, and Newton counties. For the latest on traffic statuses and in the viewing area, plus state resources for updated road conditions, visit WLFI.com. Kelly Roberts, News 18.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Well, in Lafayette, it's also been all hands on deck. The street and police departments are out in full force tonight. Lafayette Mayor Tony Rosworski says not only is the street department out, but the sanitation, water, wastewater, stormwater, and park departments are also out clearing the streets as well. He says almost 40 pieces of equipment are out working tonight. He says crews are working on the main and arterial streets first, then will move to the secondaries. He says they will also have one strip through neighborhoods, so if needed, emergency crews can get to homes. The snow emergency route has been put in place, so the city of Lafayette is also asking people to move their cars off the streets.
If we can plow curb to curb, we can get done quicker. Plus, we won't block you in. Makes it hard for people to get out because there's nowhere to put the snow. I mean, it's going to be in front of some houses and mailboxes. It's just with this much snow. But if we can get the cars off the road, we can do it much quicker and leave a lot less snow in front of those things.
Rosworski says the police department had to park squad cars away in a garage because officers were having troubles. He says officers are now paired up in the department's SUVs for calls and reports. And in West Lafayette, the story is pretty much the same. Mayor John Dennis says the street department has been out since 4 this morning working to plow those streets.
The major priority is the major roads, the major arterials, eventually get into the neighborhoods, and unfortunately cul-de-sacs and secondary roads are usually the last thing that we're able to get to. And when the snow is falling at this rate, where it basically fills as soon as you move it, it's really difficult to keep ahead of that.
Now, both Mayor Dennis and Rosworski are not asking businesses to close at this time. However, they are asking residents to only travel if it is absolutely necessary for some kind of medical reason. With Lafayette battling the winter weather, Mental Health America is working overtime to help the community. News 18's Samantha Tiki reports how the shelter is extending its hours to make sure everyone has a warm place to stay.